Prakriti yaiva cha karmani kriya man nani sarvasa ya pasyat tata atman akartaram cha pasyati. Oh, thank you very much. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This body is made by material nature under the direction of the Supersoul. And whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. His meaning the living entity. Whatever one is supposed to do, even for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desire. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. Wow. Okay. Text 30. Yada Buddha Pita Bhavam Eka Stanam Anupashyati Tata Eva Chavistaram Brahma Sampradaya Ite Tada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul, and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees in the material conception of life. We find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision, thus being freed from differentiations like man, apple, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse. Text number 12, not number 32, I'm sorry. Text number 32. Anaditvam nirgunat vat paramat mayam avyaya sarirar sto pi konteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body. But actually, the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not exchange himself in any material activities. I'm sorry. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material body do not entangle him. Text 33. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. Yeah, when someone dies, you don't know what happens to them. You can have theories, but you're not sure what happened to the person. Text 34. Yata prakasayati eka krishnam lokam imam ravi chitram chitri tata krishnam prakasayati bharata. Translation. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place, but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, when the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combination of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is the condition of all individual consciousness. That is, I'm sorry, let me read that again. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. In other words, Krishna is aware of every body in the universe, but the individual is only aware of his own body. Okay, that makes sense. Text 35. Chetra chitra gayor evam antaram jnana chaksusa. Bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body. Well, there are two knowers, there's Krishna and the living entity. And can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Okay, that's a nice verse. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the supersoul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at least have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his okay. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free himself, to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interactions of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the supersoul. The soul and the supersoul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the supersoul, material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and the material elements, and can also see the situation of the Supreme Soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the into the matter of nature and enjoyer and consciousness. Chapter 14. Are there any questions yet? Anything we read? Any questions or comments?
Yes, Maharaj, I have one question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to know, in the purport, it says one should know the distinction between the body, the owner, the owner of the body, and the super soul. Is Krishna the owner of the body?
No, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. The
All right.
super soul is the call it the supreme owner, but you are the temporary owner.
Mm-hmm. Enough, a limited owner.
Or limited owner. So in other words, it's just like a man owns a building.
Yeah.
Then he gets a person who wants to live in that building, and therefore he becomes a tenant.
Yeah.
So as a tenant, he's living in that building.
Mm-hmm.
He's enjoying the building.
He's enjoying the building, but he's paying money to the owner, who is the one who actually owns it. But he's the one that's living in it. So it's something like that.
That makes sense. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, next was what?
14th chapter.
Huh?
14th chapter.
14th chapter?
You just said that we finished. 13th.
Did we cover the verses? Yeah.
13th chapter,
We covered 30,
verse number 35.
35.
Yeah, that is done.
Yeah.
It's done.
We're on chapter 14, text 1.
Yeah.
14th chapter.
Oh, okay. The three modes of material nature.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Text number 1. This is the chapter 14 entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Text number 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Taj Gyatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." It's a wonderful verse. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. And so you see, there's what you would call
Mental speculation.
philosophical speculation that is bogus, and philosophical speculation which is bona fide. So today, now we're reading philosophical speculation that is bona fide. In the 13th chapter, it is clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also, of course, it said one may possibly be freed. It doesn't guarantee. Right? It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. So what are the modes? Modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So someone might say, but goodness means that you're a good person. Yeah, you're a good person, but you still have material desires, but they're not gross, nasty material desires, but there are still material desires that keep you a victim of wrong desires. Now, is a goodness a wrong desire? Not necessarily, but it is still has some what you would call attachment to the material world.
Mhm.
Transcendental goodness, on the other hand, is different. There is no material desire when you're transcendentally involved in serving with love and devotion to the Lord or in transcendental goodness. Okay, so here it says, now in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection.
Haribo.
Haribo. Okay, text number 2. So we're on the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature, and chapter 14. Okay, text number 2. Idam Kyanam Aparshritya Mama Sadarmyan Agata Sarge Pi no Payaj Ante Pralaye na Vyahanticha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own meaning Krishna's own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Very interesting statement. One is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood. Of course, the Mayavadis think that when you become, so spiritually advanced, you lose your identity.
You become one.
But it's not actually true. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Now, that's real philosophy.
Mhm.
The Mayavadis think you lose your identity.
Yeah.
Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge, which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature, is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. That doesn't mean that one becomes
So the
the
supreme.
Supreme Person, but one is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who has thus developed the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Yeah, because he knows he's eternal. Everybody's eternal, but a lot of people don't understand it. And therefore, they think they only live once, and when they die, everything is over. But see, that's completely false. You don't just live once. You die, but then you take birth again in a different body. Out of the 8,400,000 different bodies, you will get one of them in your next life, depending on your karma. Okay.
Just
Check number 3. Huh? Yeah.
it's about 7:40 or 7:35. So you want to do one more or?
Okay, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? Or comments? Questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Mhm.
At the end of the purport, when it says to obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or the destruction of the material world. What are all of the spiritual qualities?
Okay, very good question. The spiritual qualities are fundamentally love and devotion for Krishna. Those are two very important spiritual qualities. There are other spiritual qualities also. One is not associating with unholy people. One only associates with pure devotees. That's a spiritual quality. Also, one regularly reads and hears spiritual shastras, just like we're doing now. We're hearing the shastra, and some people are hearing it. Somebody's reading it, somebody is hearing it. That's spiritual, uh, let's say, asset and spiritual qualities. Well, you only eat prasadam. You don't eat anything else. And also, uh, your only activity is devotional service. No other types of activities. You simply engaged always in devotional service. So that gives you a general idea of what are those uh, transcendental qualities that devotees are engaged in always.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Any other questions or comments? So, And in this purport, it says, those in ignorance of, it says, those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. That's the false theory of the Maya.
Maya.
You have anything to say about that? No.
No. I was just saying.
Yeah. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Now you can ask, what are the spiritual qualities? Always chanting Hare Krishna.
Associating with devotees.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Associating with devotees.
Yeah.
Hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Leaving the association of unholy people.
Yes.
Chanting Hare Krishna all the time.
Yeah. And going on Sankirtan.
Going on Sankirtan.
So many things.
Eating only prasad.
Eating only prasad. Yeah.
Only doing devotional activities.
Yes. Yeah. Never committing any sinful activities. Always engaging in associating with genuine devotees is very important. Very important. Okay, so to obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. But see, to develop the spiritual qualities we've read before, you don't have to really do anything other than surrender to Krishna and engage in devotional service. Then you will develop all the spiritual qualities naturally. Okay, I think we'll stop right there.
And you also said that the fundamental spiritual quality is to have love and devotion for Krishna.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It's not that easy.
Yeah, yes.
But when you sacrifice without any, let's say, hesitation to serve Krishna, then it's rather easy to develop those good qualities. It requires sacrifice, but not with
Material motivation.
yeah, not with material motivation. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. All glory to
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Let me see. There's something.